questions ready to go for affirmative and negative after Andrea Robbins.
Just click start. All right. It's 11:59, and you're just 3 words away from submitting your paper. Truly the last minute. As you attempt to open Blackboard to quickly drop your paper off, something happens. A big 3 words appear on your computer. Please connect to Wi-Fi. And once you figured out that the CCU internet cut out, it came back on. But it's 12:01. Knowing your professor, you can't get any credit on this 100 paper now. That is unfortunate, yet this happens so much in our daily lives, which is why we bring up the resolution today, which is CCU should allow students to use personal Wi-Fi routers. And since CCU is currently cracking down on students in apartments that possess this, I believe in firm affirmation that we should have a policy where students are allowed to have private routers in their apartments.
Although there have been connectivity issues with CCU Wi-Fi in the past and more likely in the future, it is the negative's belief that CCU should not allow students to have Wi-Fi routers in the rooms because it interferes with the connectivity of the current Wi-Fi signal and poses further risk to CCU database security.
So I want to bring up my main contentions or my main points. My first main point is how much do routers and internet plans actually cost? So for a basic internet package, according to AllConnect, you can expect average monthly cost around $50. And routers start at about $40 or more according to Amazon. Now, since we have a situation where we have so many roommates in a specific room that can purchase these routers and pay for the plans, this amount of money cuts significantly as a result. These costs also can teach students how to pay and manage for their expenses and monthly bills once they get out of college. Now, a CCU probably spends millions of dollars providing internet for staff according to trends set by other similar sized universities. Allowing this policy will cut the university budget significantly and allow more money for other things like parking spots, new buildings, investing in better tech for classrooms, and basically any other policy that we are going to be debating as a class. So another comparison that I want to make is with the printer situation that we have at CCU. It's another piece of technology that we actually are allowed to have in our apartments despite the fact that we have to pay for the public printing. Now, this is extremely important to this resolution because there's an inconsistency with the fact that we are able to possess this type of technology but not able to possess these private routers. Now, I want to quickly go over my last point, which is the state of the CCU internet as a whole. And to do this, I conducted a survey with a bunch of different students, 50 people actually, and I found that 68% of students actually said that they experienced some kind of Wi-Fi interruption within the week when they were working on homework.
While we know that CCU Wi-Fi is indeed flawed, there are numerous risks that are posed with having private routers on campus. For example, according to a US News article, Kent State University prohibits the use of private routers in their dorm rooms because they have the potential to interfere with the current internet signal, and therefore those who can't afford a router are therefore left with a crummy signal because of private routers that don't even need to be on campus. In addition, there are particular security issues that have arisen because we live in the 21st century. We're a constantly growing and progressing world. There's tons of security risks posed by private routers to plagiarism databases and other essential university systems that are placed within the current system. Finally, I'd like to submit that while the Wi-Fi is indeed poor, there's always opportunity to address this with student government, and it seems to me that that hasn't been addressed at all. I've been to at least one student senate meeting, one public student senate meeting, and I never heard any mention of Wi-Fi issues or connectivity issues, even though multiple times student body has given us the opportunity to voice our complaints and concerns. So therefore, if we truly do wish to see a change in the current state of our Wi-Fi, we're totally open and ready to submit a proposition.
So I want to bring light into my opponent's last contention, which was access to student government to submit propositions and voice complaints to our student senate. Since he wants to implement a policy where we don't have these private connections, I think, and like benefiting looking at the source of the internet as a whole, I do believe that that implementing this policy can also be done through the student governments in ways that he has explained. Now I want to quickly close off with a few reasons why you should be voting in the firm affirmation today, which is the fact that we want consistency within our technology use in apartments and more efficient costs for both parties of Wi-Fi routers.
While efficient costs would be a benefit, it's no more cost to the university to supply better Wi-Fi than it is to a student to supply a router. And if there are issues brought up by having private routers in our rooms, then I think it is completely wise to continue the policy of not allowing personal Wi-Fi routers in our rooms.
All right, questions for affirmative or negative based on their stance?
Yes.
Okay, for the affirmative, do you think, that the reasoning, the negative, I presented about, if there's too many routers on campus, then our Wi-Fi will be affected, kind of similar to if there's, not enough cell towers in an area, then too many people with cell phones block the connection?
So yes, I think the statistics that you proved on that were true. However, the fact that we're already experiencing interruptions with it, however, I don't think that my opponent presented a clear-cut way as to how they can be, as to how the solution can actually be implemented. So, yeah. Boom.
So for the affirmative, so your introduction, you give the example of a student who waits 3 minutes before the assignment is literally due. I know that I remember from plenty of all the syllabuses that we got at the beginning of the year that say prepare in advance because there are the potential of having crappy Wi-Fi, so don't wait 3 minutes before you have to turn an assignment in.
This is true, and I definitely have made that mistake myself. However, it is inevitable that students are going to be in this situation. And I've seen so many students, especially in my own stairwell and rooms, that have to deal with this, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I do firmly believe that this can overall help with connectivity issues.
Okay.
Okay, we need questions for negative as well.
Do you think you would ever be okay with allowing certain types of routers if someone wanted, if there was like a need?
Which one?
Well,
For the negative.
the negative, but you can answer if you want. I'm just curious if that would ever be an option. Like the school approved 3 or 4 different types of routers that were secure that you could buy if you wanted to have your own.
I think that would be a profitable decision, yes.
Other questions for negative? Need a few more.
So negative, what would you say would be the solution to just the Wi-Fi issue on campus?
While I didn't necessarily mention in my presentation, I think if it takes about as much to provide a router, then it could factor into our student tuition, and then we wouldn't even have to deal with security risks or issues of connectivity. So I think it could be paid for through tuition.